Howdy, friends. Today we're going to talk about abundance in creation. Not just the abundance that we read about in Genesis where God creates and creates and creates, and on the last day God rests because it is very good, with the creation of land and sea and light and dark and people and animals and fish and birds and all those wonderful things in that abundance. But I want you to think about the abundance for just a second. If you've ever gardened and you've ever planted zucchini, there is that time of year where the abundance of the zucchini often comes where you try to pawn them off on everyone you meet. You have to watch that your car is locked so you don't find a zucchini on the front seat. You make breads, you make pies, you make cakes, you put it on the grill, you put it in things, and there's just abundance, abundance, abundance. Tomatoes do the same thing, peppers do the same thing. It's amazing how much a garden can produce and create. But you have to do a lot to get to that abundance, and we sometimes forget about abundance when we don't care for it. When we learn about animals that have become extinct or plants that no longer grow. At our house, my dear wife plants mostly heirloom crops, which are things that are not commercially viable because they take a little bit more care or work. But I tell you, they taste better. Taste better than anything you're going to find at the grocery store. And they have wonderful shapes that aren't perfectly round. But I will tell you, when those tomatoes, those heirloom ones especially, start getting ready to pick, it's not like there's 2 or 3. There's 200 or 300. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. I want to share a piece, not of scripture today, but of some very, very deep thoughts from Howard Thurman. And this is something I was first exposed to in seminary and has just really stuck with me. And I use this thing. We talk about abundance in creation, but there's also that growing edge, that space that the growth happens and the things grow. And there's abundance that comes when you reach that growing edge. So this is what he writes. All around us, worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. All around us, life is dying and life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree. The roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth against a time when there shall be new lives, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge. It is the extra breath from the exhausted lung, the one more thing to try when all else has failed, the upward reach of life when weariness closes in upon the endeavor. This is the basis of hope. In moments of despair, the incentive to carry on when times are out of joint and people have lost their reason. The source of confidence when worlds crash and dreams will whiten into ash. The birth of a child, life's most dramatic answer to death. This is the growing edge incarnate. Look well to the growing edge. Abundance only comes from that growing edge. Abundance only comes when we care and work. Yes, life can spring up anywhere. And in the midst of struggle, in the midst of difficult times, life and abundance can come, but it takes some work. There is a beauty in this world when, in the face of all things that say no, that God says yes, that life says yes. In those darkest moments comes a light, comes hope. This is what Howard Thurman talks about with this growing edge, this edge that leads us to abundance, this edge that leads us to new life and new recognition of that life. I hope to stay that you think hard on that growing edge, those places in your life where that grass cracks through the sidewalk, where those weeds come out of the place you're positive that nothing can grow. Those places in the garden where things you planted a season ago that didn't come up decide to sprout nonetheless in the middle of what you're trying to grow new. Life will eventually triumph, and I hope that you can look to see those growing edges in that abundant life and creation everywhere you are. Have a fantastic day.
And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we take